how do you see kind of people analytics evolving further in 2021? What do you think will happen there?
Well, in all the 7 years I've been publishing these predictions, I think I've said that people analytics will grow significantly in the calendar year that follows. So yeah, I'm starting to be a bit more right about that than maybe I was back in 2014. Yeah, I mean, as you said, the people analytics teams that we work with at INSIGHT222, the vast majority have really stepped up during this crisis and supported HR and the business and the workforce in the response. And there have been examples, powerful examples, almost how it saved lives. In one of the companies we work with in the US is a pharmaceutical distribution company. And their people analytics team was able to predict within a few days when their distribution warehouse on the east coast of the US was going to shut because of the virus, because of employees being sick, frankly. But they were able to then put contingency plans in place to make sure that pharmacies and hospitals in that area were supplied with the drugs that they needed. So, you can't get much more of a powerful example than that. And we've certainly seen, when it comes to reimagining what work on the workplace will look like post-pandemic as well, people analytics teams are really at the center of that, and certainly analyzing some of the trends that we talked about earlier around, collaboration and innovation and productivity, which is always a bit of a nebulous term as well, but understanding how people feel about working from home, what they miss about working from the office and everything else. People analytics teams are making those insights, readable, I guess, for executives that have to make decisions about that moving forward. It's interesting because, actually we've got the data to back up the fact that people analytics is growing now. So early in the crisis, at INSIGHT222, we had some hypotheses that we wanted to test. One of those was that people analytics was growing. Another was that people analytics is increasingly focused on business topics. And we did a study with 60 global organizations, and the report is available to anyone to read. We'll send out the link with the publicity around this particular episode. And it's interesting, actually. We found that and we did that research between April and July, so right in the early stages of the pandemic in many respects, and we found that people analytics teams are growing. Over 50% have grown in the previous 12 months, and I'm just over 60% intend to grow in the next 18 to 24 months, so by the end of 2022. We found that, interestingly, investment in specialized people analytics technology is also growing as well. And I think over 80% said they're currently using some of those technologies or plan to do so in the next 18 months. So, again, technology is an enabler, it's not people analytics, but it certainly helps. And we also found that the top area where people analytics is adding value is business topics such as sales effectiveness, customer satisfaction, compliance, risk, culture. And then the people-related topics that follow were topics that I certainly consider, and I think the rest of us consider, as being business topics anyway: employee experience, strategic workforce planning, diversity and inclusion. So interesting shift, and not something we would have seen a couple of years ago, where I think that most of the work of people analytics would have been focused around HR topics. So we would a lot of work around, about recruitment and attrition, and all those things are important. It's when you actually link them to business priorities, I think it becomes even more so. And it's what we found as well is that this kind of means that there's a shift in how people analytics teams are organizing themselves, and and that plays to a lot of the work that we do at INSIGHT222 as well. So, very much if you look at it in three areas, so a demand engine, consultants really working at the front end, working directly with senior stakeholders in the business to identify and prioritize the key topics that the people analytics should be focused on. Then a solutions engine in the middle with data scientists, analysts, behavioral scientists, and stewards that actually govern the use of people, data and analytics and technology within the organization as well, that deliver insights and recommendations. And then a product engine, which I think is something that's quite new in pretty much all organizations except a few, where with designers and product engineers that are kind of putting the user at the center and actually thinking, how can we develop analytics products that people will actually use? How can we make them usable? How can we give insights to the people that are actually providing the data, whether it's employees or managers? And how can we actually scale these? and how can we actually affect change? Obviously, a great way of affecting change is actually making them usable. So, there's more in the report, obviously, but I think we'll see more people analytics teams organising themselves along these lines in 2021.
In this series, we will be speaking to a range of senior leaders who are pushing a data-driven and digital HR agenda. Make sure that you subscribe via your podcast app of choice and also via our YouTube channel for free and regular interviews with the digital HR leaders of the future.